Samsara dava nalalida loka Janaya karanya ganaganatvam Praptasya kalyana gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Vaditya Madhyan Manasora Sena Romancha Kampa Shutaranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Shri Vigrahara Dhananitya Nana Shingaratan Mandira Majanado Yuktasya Bhaktam Shaniyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Chaturvida Shri Bhagavat Prasado Swadhana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Kritaiva Triptim Bhajatasya Deva Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Shri Radhika Madhavayara Para Madhurya Lila Guna Rupa Namnam Pratikshana Swadhanalalupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Nikunjayuna Radikali Siddhai Yaya Libiruktirapikshaniya Tatrati Daksha Dati Valabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Sakshadarit Vina Samasta Shastrir Uktastata Bhavyata Eva Sadvi Kintu Prabhuya Prevatasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasado Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutopi Jayam Suvam Sasya Yasyastra Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. 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 Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashacha Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Radha Nila Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Nila Radha Nila Shri Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Nita Gaura Haribo, 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 Nita Gaura Haribo.
Archana Rinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya PPT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramhamsa Pratika Acharya Ashtota Shat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridasa Thakur ki jai. Premise Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Datar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Prajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Shri Ayodhya Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Samavrita Bhaktavinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari All glory to assembled devotees. All glory to assembled devotees. All glory to assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahladaladaine. Prahladaladaine. Hiranyakashipurvakshah. Hiranyakashipurvakshah. Shilatanka nakhalaye. Ito nrsimha parato nrsimha. Yeto yeto yami tato nrsimha. Bahir nrsimha hrudaye nrsimha. Nrsimhamadim sharanam prapadye. Tava karakamalvare nakham adbhuta shringam. Lalita hiranyakashipu tanabhrangam. Keshavadrita narahari rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadrita narahari rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha. Jaya Narsimha Dev. Jaya Narsimha Dev. Jaya Narsimha Dev. Jaya Narsimha Dev. Jai Prahlad Maharaj. Jai Prahlad Maharaj. Jai Prahlad Maharaj. Jai Prahlad Maharaj. जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की
जय।
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
जय हरि हरि बोल।
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवसच विष्णु भक्ति पदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवसच विष्णु भक्ति पदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवसच विष्णु भक्ति पदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः। वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय।
Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Radha Krishna Seva Pabo Yei Abhilasi Radha Krishna Seva Pabo Yei Abhilasi Radha Krishna Seva Pabo Eya Bilasi Ye to mara sharanaloy taro vancha purna hoy to mara कृपा कोरे कोरो दिए वृंदावन बासी वृंदावन मोरा ए अभिलाष बिलास कुंज देवा नयने हरिबो सदा युगल रूपराशि नयने हरिबो युगल रूपराशि ए निवेदन दार सकिरानुगद करो ए निवेदन सेवाधिकारा दिए करो निज दासी सेवाधिकारा दिए नो निज सेवाधिकारा दिए करो निज दासी सेवा दीना कृष्ण दास कोई ए न मोरा हो न कृष्ण दास Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Basi Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Basi Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Basi Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyadikani cha Tani tani pranashyanti Pradakshina pade pade Yani kani Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyadikani cha Tani tani pranashyanti Pradakshina pade pade Kani Yani kani cha papani Brahma hatyadikani cha Tani tani pranashyanti Pradakshina pade pade Kani cha papani hatyadikani cha Tani tani pranashyanti Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Vrinde Devi, Jayo Vrinde Devi, Jayo Vrinde Devi, Jayo Tulsi Maharani. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol, Nitai Gaura Haribol, Haribol. वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः वृंददेवी तुलसी महारानी की जय जय
Oh, Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow down before you again and again. My desire is to extend the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has his wishes fulfilled. Please have mercy upon him and make him a resident of Vrindavan. My desire also grant me residence in the precious groves of Shri Vrindavan town. Thus within my vision I shall always behold the beautiful paths of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follower of the Karha damsels of Vraja. Please give me the privileged devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna prays. May I always swim in the love of Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulasi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 fences in the matter of chanting holy names that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for propagating holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Brahma to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualist activities, offering the Vedas as fruity activities, karma, ganda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glory of the holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer most humble obeisances and all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as eye trees who can fulfill to everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Shri Chaitanya Shastakam ki jai. Cheto Tarpana Marjanam Bhava Mahatavakni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Pudivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamita Sadhanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Eta Deshi Tavakripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudeva Mi Desham Yaha Janina Nuragaha Trinatapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manatena Kirtaniya Sadaharihi Na Thanam, Na Janam, Na Sundarim, Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaye, Mama Jammani Jammanishvare, Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Tvai, Ayinanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha, Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja, Stithaturi Satesham Vichintaya, Nayanam Karadashuru Taraya, Vadanam Kadgata Rudaya Gira, Pulakai Nichitam Vapur Kadatava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga Itam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravisha Itam Shunya Itam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahe Name Ashrishava Padaratam Pinnastumam Adarshanam Marmhatam Karotuva Yatha Tatha Va Vidatatu Lampato Mat Prananatastu Se Eva Naparaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai.
Glory.
Shri Shikshya Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust that created for years, and extinguishes fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity in the large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone grant all benediction human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have vested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness enable us to easily approach you by holy names, but I am so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Marjananda, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow they fall into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death, and place me at one of the islands at lotus feet. O my Lord, while my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name, while my voice choke up, while my body stand and the recitation of your name. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considered moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and shall remain so if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything, everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya.
Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai.
Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshum Litam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurung Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatatesha Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Ti Namini Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhavid Namaha Madhuryo Jala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktita Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinadarine Rupanuga Viruta Pasiddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kisharaya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipalambara Sambodhe Padam Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumistvam Nyadishta Sajanapriyaha Vaishnava Savabhoma Shri Jaganathayate Namaha Vancha Kalpatarupishta Kripa Sindhu Bhevaja Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurate Shin Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakham Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinapanto Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Srato Pangor Mamamanda Matir Kati Masarva Swapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vindaranya Kalpajumadha Shimadra Nakara Singhasanasto Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prishtaribi Sevimano Smarami Shiman Rasara Sarambi Vamsivata Tatastita Karsham Vinusaner Gopir Gopinatha Shiyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Datha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Shri Brahmasamhita ki jai.
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Parakara Satma Sukapa Viksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabi Rabipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasam Brahmasevimanam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kavanantam Aravinda Dalayataksam Parharvatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Gantarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chantaka Lasavanamade Vamsi Ranangadam Panayakeli Kalavilasam Shamam Tipanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani yasya sakalendriya viddimanti pasyanti panti kalayanti shiram jaganti ananda chimmaya satujala vigrahasya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami advaitam achyutam anadim anantarupam adyam purana purusham navayovanam cha vedeshu durabam madurabam atma bhakto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Pantastu Koti Shatavasara Sampragamyo Vayurathapi Manaso Munipangavanan Sopyasti Yat Prapada Simya Vichinta Tattve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sora Chayitum Jagatanta Kotim Yachaktirasti Jagatanta Chayaya Danta Antantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Bhava Pavita Diyo Manujastateva Samprapya Rupa Mahimasanayana Pusha Suktaryam Eva Nikama Patitai Suvanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chimmara Sapatipavitapi Sthapiya Eva Nijarupataya Kalapi Goloka Eva Nivasati Kalatma Bhutto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Chruta Bhakti Vilocanena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundam Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murtishu Kalanya Mena Tishtan Nanavataram Makaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Paramapamangyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Shri Brahmasamhita ki jai. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the Supreme Godhead. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin. And he is the prime cause of all causes. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with a moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Sham Sundar is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure, unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra sutras told by the Vedas, by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidants, Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever-blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shama Sundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna, and the different avatars in the world, in the forms of Rama, Nishinga, Vamana, etc., as his subjective portions. Shri Brahma Samhita Ki Jai. Glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1. Janmadasya yata niviyadi taratas charte swaviga swarat tene brahma hridayadi kavaye muyanti at surayaha tejo varimadam yata vinimayo yatra trisargo misha damna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes. Excuse me. Cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen on fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of material nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2 Dharma Pujita Kaitravotra Nirmatsaranam Satam Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastam Atravastu Shividam Tapo Trayon Bulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamunit Krite Kim Vapurir Ishwaraha Sadyo Hridya Varudyate Tra Kriti Bihi Sisusavistakshanat. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.3 Nigama kalpatarur galitam phalam sukhamukad amritam dravya samyutam pipata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho raska bhuvibhavaka. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami, therefore this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 10, verse number 12. Vishvam vai brahmatan matram samstitam Vishnu mayaya Ishvarena parichinnam kalin avyaktamurtina. Vishwam, the material phenomenon. Vai, certainly. Brahma, the supreme. Tatmatram, as the same as. Samstitam, situated. Vishnu Mayaya, by the energy of Vishnu. Ishvarena, by the personality of Godhead. Parichinam, separated. Kalina, by the eternal time. Avyakta, unmanifested. Murtina, by such a feature. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The cosmic manifestation is separated from the Supreme Lord as material energy by means of Kala, which is the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Lord. It is situated as the objective manifestation of the Lord under the influence of the same material energy of Vishnu. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As stated previously by Narada, before Vyasa Deva, in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.20, Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan Ivetara. This unmanifested world is the self-same personality of Godhead. But it appears to be something else, beyond or besides the Lord. It appears so because of its being separated from the Lord by means of Kala. It is something like the tape-recorded voice of a person who is now separated from the voice. As the tape recording is situated on the tape, so the whole cosmic manifestation is situated on the material energy and appears separate by means of Kala. The material manifestation is therefore the objective manifestation of the Supreme Lord and exhibits His impersonal feature, so much adored by impersonalist philosophers. Haribol. This is very high-grade philosophy. And to understand this is not easy, because we're dealing with something that is completely beyond human understanding. But you see, Prabhupada is explaining it. So it's not exactly completely beyond human understanding, but we have to approach it very, let's say, carefully. What is it saying exactly here? It's saying more or less that the material nature seems to be separated from the Supreme Lord, as material energy by means of kala, which is the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Lord. So kala is the time factor. It is the impersonal representation of Krishna. So this whole cosmic manifestation is separated from the Supreme Lord as material energy. So everything is coming from Krishna. Everything is Krishna's energy. And he has three different energies: internal energy, external energy, and marginal energy. So this external energy seems to be separated from the Lord. Now that is a very profound statement. It seems to be separated because the Lord is not directly concerned. He's aloof from it. So, therefore, yesterday we were explaining how you can see Krishna within the material nature. Krishna himself explains it. Raja Vidya Raja Guyam. So he says that, I am the fragrance of the earth, I'm the taste of water, I am the light of the sun. All these are manifestations of Krishna's transcendental energies. And therefore it is possible to understand the existence of Krishna within the material world. But then again, here it's saying that Krishna is separate or aloof from the material world. He's not engaged in it. It never touches the material energy. He simply glances on it. So this becomes a little bit difficult to understand, and rightly so. For example, you can look up if you want, the 6 assumptions of the scientists. They have 6 major assumptions about nature. So they say that 1, nature is orderly, and the laws of nature describe that order. 2, it's possible to know nature. 3, all phenomena have natural causes. 4, nothing is self-evident. And 5, knowledge is derived from acquisition of experience. And 6, knowledge is superior to ignorance. Now, this exactly is the confusion of the materialists. On one hand, they say that nature is acting orderly, and the laws of nature describe that order. Now, how did that happen? How is it that this whole universe is acting in an orderly way and predictable way? You see, this is mind-boggling, because it's a complicated universe, and there's so many complicated things happening, and it's all predictable according to laws of nature. So, therefore, they're not saying how that happened. They just say, we assume this. So this is what you would call a misleading. A, anything that is orderly, that's organized, and is functioning according to laws, it does not happen by itself. They're not explaining how this happened. But they recognize that there would not be any possibility of science if this was not a fact. If the whole nature was acting in a chaotic way, you wouldn't be able to predict anything. Therefore, there wouldn't be any science. But yet, they're saying that nature is acting in an orderly way. They assume that, and they see it. So anyone who sees that and doesn't believe that there's God or a supreme being, a supremely intelligent being who has ordered the whole universe, they have to be a moron. They have to be an idiot. And then the second thing is we can know nature. Well, that's true to a certain extent, but not completely, because there are many mysterious things that they don't know, and they'll admit it. And number 3, all phenomena have natural causes. Now that is a nasty statement. That means that basically they're saying we don't believe in a God, we don't believe that there's some supernatural being that's supremely intelligent, and therefore anything you see in nature is going on by natural causes. It's happening by itself. This is not true. And they can't prove it either, that everything is happening by itself. It looks like that, but when you think about it, it's not possible. There has to be some controlling factor behind everything. And then it says, nothing is self-evident. That's, again, a very nasty statement, because basically they're saying that there's no such thing as self-evident truths that are coming from God. And then knowledge is superior, and knowledge is derived from acquisition of experience. That's only partially true, because you can also get knowledge from the Shastra, which is much better than knowledge from experience. So you see, we're dealing with scientists who are very atheistic. They're anti-God, and they don't make sense. How can the whole universe be acting in an orderly way and nobody ordered it? It's just, they just accept it like that. That doesn't make sense. Nothing, like whatever they do, like let's say somebody builds a house. He never says the house built itself. He says, I built the house. Right? Let's say somebody writes a book. He doesn't say the book wrote itself. No, I wrote the book, and I want to get the recognition of it. So they're seeing something that is amazing. That's the amazing amount of organization of the material world. And they're saying it happened by itself. There's nobody behind it. So these are nasty statements by the scientists. And it's being taught to people as scientific knowledge, but actually it's not. These are all speculations based on prejudice. They don't believe in God, therefore they sort of dance around the truth, but never state the truth. That there is a supreme personality of Godhead who is all-knowing and who has created this world and is maintaining it, but yet is aloof from it. Now if we come back to this verse today, there's a discussion previously in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.20 between Narada Muni and Vyasadeva. And Prabhupada quotes this verse, Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan eve tara. This unmanifested world is the self-same personality of Godhead, but it appears to be something else beyond or besides the Lord. Okay, now when it says this unmanifested world, well, there is manifestation and unmanifestation. So there are a lot of unmanifested things, like, for example, electromagnetic waves. You don't see them. They're here right now in this room. You don't see them, but they exist. And then there are other things like that. So everything is coming from Krishna, whether it's manifest or unmanifest. So it appears, so it says, this unmanifested world is the self-same personality of Godhead, but it appears to be something else beyond or besides the Lord. It appears so because of its being separated from the Lord by means of Kala. Kala means the time principle, and the time principle is the impersonal manifestation of Krishna. For example, it says, Krishna is everything, but everything is not Krishna. Now, what does that mean? Krishna is everything, because everything is coming from Krishna, either from his internal energy, from his external energy, or his marginal energy. Nothing is independent of the Lord. But everything is not Krishna. Just because the dog is made from the energies of Krishna, it doesn't mean the dog is Krishna. You see. The Mayavadis, this would be their way of saying, well, because they are basically saying that entire nature is God. Therefore, the dog is God. You can worship the dog. No, you can't worship the dog. The dog is not Krishna. The dog is made of Krishna's energies. The soul of the dog is part and parcel of Krishna, but the dog is a unique individual and does not have the potency of Krishna. It's part and parcel of the Lord, but that's why it says part and parcel. It's part, that means it's connected to Krishna, and parcel means it has its own identity also. So it says, this unmanifested world is the self-same personality of Godhead, but it appears to be something else, beyond or besides the Lord. It appears so because of its being separated from the Lord by means of Kala. Now Prabhupada gives an example. He says, it is something like the tape-recorded voice of a person who is now separated from the voice. As the tape recording is situated on the tape, so the whole cosmic manifestation is situated on the material energy and appears separate by means of Kala. Okay, so it looks like everything is separate, like the tape recorder. You can hear Prabhupada's voice, but you don't see Prabhupada. Right? And we're separated in time from the recorded voice of Prabhupada. So here we see exactly a very good example of what's being said. In the same way, Krishna is present and he's not present. Krishna is far away, but yet he is very near. Krishna can... these are called mutually contradictory qualities of the Lord. So as the tape recording is situated on the tape, so the whole cosmic manifestation is situated on the material energy and appears separate by means of kala. The material manifestation is therefore the objective manifestation of the Supreme Lord and exhibits his impersonal feature, so much adored by impersonalist philosophers. So basically, you don't see Krishna, but Krishna is there. Krishna is everything, but everything is not Krishna. So, therefore, without surrendering to Krishna and learning about Krishna from the Vedic knowledge and engaging in devotional service, you'll never understand these things. People are confused. And then the confusion increases by the explanations of the atheistic scientists. So we see how it's almost impossible, or it is basically impossible for the materialist to understand what is nature, who is God, what is the purpose of life. All these things they're going to get wrong because there's mystery behind everything. That mystery is Krishna's transcendental nature. You cannot understand something that's transcendental if you are completely mundane. You have to come up to the level of being transcendental also. See? So, like for example, if you want to see the President of the United States, you would have to do something that's extraordinary so that the President would like to see you, right? Then you can see him. It's not that you can go knock on the door and say, I want to see the President. So in the same way, unless we come to a transcendental position through practice of Krishna consciousness, we'll never understand Krishna. Krishna is not a mundane person. His qualities, his attributes, his everything are transcendental. And everything about us, while we're in the material world, is mundane. Therefore, you can't really understand people can't really understand anything about Krishna unless they come into the company of genuine devotees, and little by little they begin to hear about the Lord, they begin to think about the Lord, they begin to serve the Lord, they begin to take the prasadam of the Lord, etc., etc., and then gradually they become transcendental. Transcendental, you transcend, you go above the mundaneness of the material world. So, this is not an easy thing for people to understand. But if a child can understand it, then why can't adults understand it? Because their minds have become polluted. But the child can understand. You say, chant Hare Krishna. And the child says, yeah, Hare Krishna. And you say, dance. And the child dances. Take some prasadam. The child takes the prasadam. Because the child is still innocent. They haven't been contaminated yet by the material knowledge. But as soon as one gets contaminated by material knowledge, they say, well, why should I bow down? Why should I go to the temple? Just like the other day I was talking to Shrestha, and she said, I recently went to California and met some relatives, and we were going to go on a little bit of a trip, and part of the trip was we would go visit a temple. Well, when we came to visit the temple, this other girl, who was like a relative of hers, she refused to go into the temple. And Shasta was like, a little bit shocked by that. She refused to have anything to do with the temple. So everybody else went into the temple, she refused. Now, why did she refuse? Because she's contaminated by modern education. For her, going to the temple is a waste of time. For her, belief in God is superstition. It's not. It's not factual. For her, there's no value in visiting a temple. So we see how, unless we come to a transcendental position ourselves, we'll never understand Krishna. And to come to the transcendental position, we have to have the association of devotees. So, therefore, in the 12th chapter, 6th and 7th verse, it's a very interesting verse. And it says, Ye tu sarvani bhutani Mayi samyasya matpara ananyanaiva yogena mam dhyanta upasate te samaham samutarta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavani na chirat parta mayi avesita chetasam. So this verse is very interesting. It says, those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me meaning Krishna, of course, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Prita. For them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. We should all learn this verse. It's very interesting. He says, I am the swift deliverer. It means very quickly I will deliver such a person from the cycle of birth and death. And in the purport, let's have different people read the different paragraphs. Go ahead. Chapter 12, verse 6 and 7. Go ahead. It is explicitly stated here.
It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. In the pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great.
Realization
That God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord, and if he does not, then he will render service to Maya.
So that girl who refused to go into the temple, she's completely in the service of Maya. In other words, everything in her life is going to be illusory. Go ahead. You can read the next one. Go ahead.
As stated before, the Supreme Lord can be appreciated only by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter in what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did it in the battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead.
You notice it doesn't say such transcendental chanting attracts Krishna to the devotee. It attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. We become attracted to Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. And it's transcendental. The mantra is already transcendental. See, that's what we have to understand. You want to become transcendental, you have to associate with people and things that are already transcendental. So it says that the holy name of Krishna has come from the spiritual world and brought down here by Lord Chaitanya for the benefit of all living entities. So, Golokira Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. The Lord has brought this holy name for the benefit of all people. So, you're not dealing with something mundane. You're dealing with something transcendental already, whether you realize it or not. As you continue to chant and hear and take prasadam, etc., the transcendental nature of the holy name becomes manifest to you, and gradually your whole life becomes transformed from mundane life to transcendental life. This is the only way to understand Krishna. We must come to the transcendental position where our whole focus is on pleasing the Lord and not pleasing ourselves. Go ahead, read next.
The Supreme Lord herein promises that without delay He will deliver a pure devotee, thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga processes, and others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as the devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord Himself takes him. The devotee does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky.
Go ahead.
In the Varaha Purana, this verse appears. The purport of the verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer its soul to the spiritual planets. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord Himself. He clearly states here that He Himself becomes the deliverer. A child is completely carried for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by His great mercy, comes at once riding on His bird carrier Garuda and at once delivers the devotee from material existence. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from the material existences. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayana, this is confirmed as follows.
Okay, next person. Anybody else?
The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in the different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by the mental
Speculative processes.
One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes, speculation, rituals, sacrifices, charities, etc. That is the specific benediction of devotional service. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily, but this destination cannot be approached by any other processes of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. that will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent Godhead Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life.
Here is very, very significant advice to all of us. This is very, very important to understand, this one verse. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, you don't have to be a great Sanskritist, you don't have to be a great yogi, you don't have to learn or master the siddhis, the mystic powers. You simply have to chant Hare Krishna and engage in devotional service. The Lord takes care of the rest. It's a great, great benediction. And that makes it very clear that anybody who has a little bit of sincerity and endeavors through association with devotees to be Krishna conscious can go back to Godhead. This should be good news for everyone. Okay, so Sarvadharmam Prityaja Mamekam Saranam Brajaham Tvam Sarvapapepyo Mokshishyami Mahasachaha. So this verse is one of the most important verses in the whole Bhagavad Gita. It's in the 18th chapter, 66th verse, and it says, look, just give up all your types, all your different beliefs and different dharmas, and just surrender unto me only, Krishna says, Mam Ekam, only unto me. And then, I promise you that I will deliver you and protect you from all pop or sinful activities. Therefore, you have nothing to fear, nothing to hesitate about, and nothing to doubt. Simply surrender unto me. So this is what you would call the ultimate advice that Krishna is giving us. If we take this advice, your life would be a complete success. It doesn't mean you stop working. It doesn't mean you give up family, this thing, that thing. No. It means that you take it very seriously to chant Hare Krishna, minimum 16 rounds every day, and engage in devotional service in all your leisure times, and associate with devotees and engage in devotional service, and at the same time take care of all your other responsibilities. So this is very, very important verse to understand. And you see, you don't have to be some type of big yogi to be liberated. Krishna comes riding on his bird, Garuda, and he picks you up and takes you back to Godhead. You know how difficult it is to go back to the spiritual world? It's a tremendous, let's say, endeavor to do that. But Krishna makes it easy. He comes to Garuda, and you go back to Godhead right away. So therefore, if we accept being subordinate to Krishna, then our duty is to serve the Lord. Our real duty in life is to serve the Lord. That way, it says, but those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Prita, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. You want to quickly get out of the material world? Here's the formula for you. Hare Krishna. O glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You see, it's not easy to write purports to these verses. But Prabhupada has given perfect purports because he's a pure devotee. He's transcendentally situated. Are there any questions?
So, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
In the present verse, what we learned just now from Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
So, can you a little bit elaborate on what is meant by the objective manifestation? What is meant by objective manifestation of?
It's something you can see. All right? The material manifestation is therefore the objective manifestation of the Supreme Lord and exhibits his impersonal feature. So you don't see the Lord in his original form. You see him as time, and you see him in different ways. But it says that the material nature is the objective manifestation of that means it's something you can see and touch and feel. Right? The material manifestation is therefore the objective manifestation of the Supreme Lord. But there is also the non-objective manifestation of the Lord, such as the time factor. You don't see the time factor, do you? But yet you could feel its effects. So those are impersonal manifestations of Krishna, unseen, unmanifested, but yet definitely functioning and influencing our lives. And then the material nature is the objective manifestation of the energy of the Lord. Okay? Any other questions? See, the scientists, they don't see God. But yet, they see all the things God has done. But because they say we can't see God, they don't attribute it to God. So that's because of their ignorance and their false ego. Okay, so we will stop there. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai.